Hi there, I'm Matt Mattison, lead scientist here at JumpTech, and I'm here to talk about our research on adapting video games into TV shows.
And from the dawn of time, people have looked down on video games, seeing them as something only degenerates would enjoy. So we at JumpTech have been working tirelessly to find out what the American people truly value in their media. And while some of our experiments have resulted in minor setbacks, it is a small price to pay for long-term company profits, for long-term happiness for our valued customers.
Wow, so JumpTech can turn any game into a great TV show? Well now, slow down, Jimmy. Success can't be bottled, but we think we've gotten pretty close. Well, that was weird. But yes, to prepare for this video, I sat down and watched every video game to movie and TV adaptation ever made. And from this horrifying ordeal, I came to 3 major conclusions.
1. Hollywood are idiots. See, until recently, video games just weren't that well established in mainstream culture. So Hollywood writers and producers didn't trust it's what the people really wanted. Take the 2007 Hitman film, which, rather than having loads of exciting assassinations, instead has several scenes of completely unwarranted female nudity. What proves that they messed up is when this film does follow the games, it's pretty good. Watch as Agent 47 poisons a drink, observes his target getting sick and running to the bathroom. He silently follows him. Oh my god, look how cool this all is. He sneaks in, gets out his untraceable poison, and starts shooting everyone in the building.
What?
2. Being faithful works. You hear that, 47? Don't do it. Think of your wife, who I assume is also bald.
Oh, I hope my husband comes home for dinner soon. So even with Hollywood adding pointless stuff like this to their films, you would assume most adaptations would have something to do with the games they're based on. So when I sat down to watch the film adaptation of Street Fighter 2, I was excited.
But nowhere, at any point in this movie, is there a fight in a street. I can't quite believe it as I say it now, and several times in this movie a big fight is about to start, but then it immediately gets interrupted. And let's be clear, it isn't just older video game adaptations that manage to totally miss the point. The 2002 Halo TV show is adapted from the Halo games, which are all about a super soldier that simply kills aliens and never takes off his helmet. 3. Just focus on characters.
Now, writing good characters isn't easy, but most of the video game adaptations I've watched miss adding the one thing good characters need. Flaw. The 2001 Tomb Raider movie is a good example of this, because not only does Lara Croft shower like she's trying to solve a really difficult math problem. Do I carry the 4 or do I multiply? What do I do? She has absolutely no flaws. She spends her evenings perfectly flipping around rooms for no ascertainable reason, and when a giant unstoppable robot monster appears, no problem. Oh, and a giant stone 6-armed monster? A shower will fix this.
The Sonic films, though, are an example of writers getting character flaws right.
See, in these films, Robotnik is smart and capable to the point that he's basically a god. But his flaw is that he thinks he's better than everyone else, and so most of the other characters dislike him. What's even better, though, is his flaws become his undoing. Robotnik loses in these films because he doesn't understand the power of working together and relying on his friends.
They've really summarized Robotnik's whole career there, you know. He's cool, but he's fucking weird.
Saying all of this, it is amazing what Nintendo seems to be able to get away with if they don't bother at all with good characters and just stay obsessively faithful to their games. And while I think these movies are alright, the general public reviews see everyone frothing at the tash.
Think about it. The Super Mario Brothers film, for example, begins with Mario's family making fun of him because he becomes a small business owner. But actually, you know, I do know how that feels. Up is not jump is a terrible YouTube name.
And this isn't resolved by Mario, say, maturing as a character. No, the only route to fatherly approval is to literally save the entire universe right in front of him. And Detective Pikachu is about a man so embittered by the fact that he is physically disabled, he turns evil, kidnaps a literal god, performs numerous experiments on animals, and commits a citywide terrorist attack.
79%, 7.4, nothing fundamentally disdainful here.
Nintendo, guys, being angry because you're in a wheelchair is not a good character flaw.
And so you see... Oh, wait, sorry, 1 second. So that segment about Nintendo has annoyed the internet so much they've fired nukes at me. Fortunately, I have a fallout shelter just downstairs. That's better. And this shelter will protect me from any unwanted nuclear fallout. Sturdy. Oh my god!
Fallout TV show as a thing addresses every one of my observations really well. The characters are flawed, the themes and plots are adapted really well from the original games, and there's no weird Hollywood stuff. I mean, the show is of course very smexy, but this makes sense because the games are too. The show starts with our first main character, Cooper Howard, and he's at a birthday party with his daughter, Janie. In this opening, Cooper and his daughter witness some of the first bombs dropping. And it may be early on, but this is one of the show's best scenes. There's a tension after the first bomb drops that slowly builds into a very believable and dramatic scene as more explosions happen. The scene ends as Cooper rides away on a horse with his daughter, hopefully to a nearby vault.
Speaking of which... Oh, yeah, there's the explosions now. Good thing I'm safe from the radiation in here.
And so the world ends. And we cut forward 219 years to our second main character, Lucy.
Someone worked way too hard on this.
Lucy grew up in Vault 33, and her introduction tells us all about her primary skills, namely repair, science, speech, unarmed, and small guns. Skills as a thing were introduced all the way back in the first game, and they're the bedrock of what Fallout is, according to everyone except the people who made Fallout 4.
Now, we all know I moan a lot about Fallout 4, but watching this first episode really reminds me of how good a lot of its visual design is.
The Vault interiors, Vault suits, Vault doors, Pip-Boys, this painting, and oh my. They even have the same curtains. It's Lucy's wedding day and she's marrying a fellow Vault dweller from the neighbouring Vault 32. This is to make sure the gene pool of her Vault doesn't get too cousin-centric. It all goes to pot though because the dwellers from Vault 32 turn out to be raiders from the surface. And we learn this because the Geiger counter on Lucy's Pip-Boy goes off when she points it at her husband.
And this, as we all know, is a huge plot hole because Pip-Boy Geiger counters go off when they're around any radiation. They don't need to be pointed at it. Oh no, this is not good.
What follows are some absolutely brutal fight sequences, including Lucy fighting with her new husband. And while these scenes are solidly made, I think what gives them their edge are how well they've drawn inspiration from the sort of fighting you see in the games. For one, these scenes are really violent.
But I mean, the Fallout games aren't that violent.
We also have this great shot of Steph with a fork in her eye spraying machine rounds, likely inspired by this cartoon that plays at the start of Fallout 4 and this live-action trailer for Fallout 76. This raider gets shot in the eye, which is a reference to how you could aim weapons at eyes in the first games. There's a gun that shoots non-lethal syringes, and a raider gets fully cut in half.
Life is such a precious thing. Lucy's dad is then taken out of the vault by the leader of the raiders, a lady named Moldaver. So Lucy leaves to go and get him.
And this scene of Lucy leaving is really a perfect mix of all the vault door scenes we see in the games, especially Fallout 4.
And for the viewers out there who think that they too might soon be living in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, Jump Tech have got you covered. Available right now is the most fabulous collection of Up Is Not Jump merch designed to help you survive the wasteland. Finally, I'm saved. Like this cap stash filled with 10 caps, all themed around Up Is Not Jump. 10 caps, but an iguana on a stick is 78 caps. This nearly 40-page illustrated glow-in-the-dark wasteland survival booklet in the style of an old video games manual. I guess I could use this to light my way at night. A 64GB USB drive containing nearly 4 hours of completely unseen Up Is Not Jump videos. I don't have a computer. Is there any water in here? There's also an exclusive poster. 3 enamel pins, including a SID one, a sticker sheet with 7 stickers, a temporary tattoo, an exclusive thank you card, and 3 recipe cards with recipes from the channel. And you can even win several prizes. I've broken this. Like a prop from one of Up Is Not Jump's videos, or even a piece of his Vive from his classic VR videos. It sells for $100 and it ships from the US, but it's shipping right now and stock is running low, so act today. Well, this was useless. Guess I'll go find somewhere to die.
Lucy leaves, and as soon as she hits the wasteland, we see the show has managed to nail the tone of the Fallout games as well. For example, one of the first people Lucy meets is this guy who's trying to get a water filter working even though he has no water. And it plays out exactly like a random encounter you'd get in Fallout 1.
What's that you're working on?
Well, it's meant to be a water filter. No matter how much sand I put in it, I just get more sand.
Well, have you tried water for the water filter?
You got water?
Anyway, after Lucy's introduction, we meet the Brotherhood of Steel member, an all-round gorgeous hunk, Maximus, who I have a lot of trouble spelling for some reason. See, I've never liked the Brotherhood of Steel as a faction. There, I've said it. All they do is stand around in their fancy armor, doing nothing and complaining. In Fallout 4, they're so obsessed with murdering every living thing that has any kind of abnormal mutation, they probably consider getting a suntan a step too far in genetic manipulation. And in Fallout 3, they're the total opposite, just goody-goody saviors of the wasteland, constantly sacrificing their own lives for the betterment of the people.
So thirsty.
Being kind and helpful. I've had it with... What is wrong with my saliva? The only members of the Brotherhood I've met across the games that actually had any edge to their character...
Doesn't it feel good to be a part of something as important as the Brotherhood?
...are Cabot, who immediately sends you on a suicide mission just to get rid of you, and Veronica, who even though she is a member of the Brotherhood, still thinks they're a bunch of asshats. The reality is, the Brotherhood of Steel is a terrorist group, basically. Militant, quasi-religious fanatics obsessed with hoarding pre-war technology. They hoard all of this technology under some kind of noble thing of protecting the wasteland, but really, they're just cowards who want power to keep themselves safe. And as such, I think Maximus is the perfect Brotherhood member. See, when Maximus was a child, he was saved by the Brotherhood after his home, the city of Shady Sands, was bombed by another unknown faction. This means he's spent most of his life with them, and he's taken on their traits. He's selfish, cowardly, and in it only for the glory of wearing shiny pre-war armor stolen from long-dead soldiers. I mean, he gets so jealous and angry about his friend Dane being promoted above him, he even attacks a toilet. Get it, Maximus? Yeah! Get it? Yes! Yeah! One day, Maximus wakes up to find his friend Dane with an injured foot after someone hid a razor blade in their boot. Hey, it's like the foot in Fallout 3. Maximus is blamed for this and is interrogated by the elder cleric Quintus. So based on what we currently know about Maximus, we all totally assume he did it. So Quintus does the sensible thing and forgives him of all of his crimes and promotes him to squire. Wait. Now, I've watched this scene 3 times and it still makes absolutely no sense to me. I think we're meant to assume that Quintus wants more ruthless operatives out in the field, but Maximus mostly burbles his way through this conversation like he has no idea what he's saying. I mean, just look at his facial expressions. I just think given how important this scene is to the plot, it's a little bit too vague and open-ended. But regardless, Maximus is sent out on his first mission, which is to track down this guy, Dr. Wilzig, and his companion. Wait, no, this is my companion.
No, you're my companion, human.
We then cut elsewhere to these 3 guys digging up a grave, and out from it falls our third major character, the Ghoul. The Ghoul is of course Cooper Howard from the opening of the show, but radiation has changed him into a somewhat immortal, evil bounty hunter. And as it turns out, the 3 gentlemen who dug him up are also looking for the bounty placed on Dr. Wilzig, and they're hoping the Ghoul can use his bounty hunter skills to help them find him. And this scene would be okay if I could see anything. At one point, for example, one of these guys shoots at the Ghoul with a junk jet. And if you don't know, this is a weapon that can load and fire most of the random items you find lying about the wasteland. But it's so dark we can't actually see what it fires. This stuff could be any kind of cool Fallout-related junk. But what I really can't work out is would I rather the ghouls in this show look like the ghouls in the previous games? Because of all the things Fallout 1 nailed, I think its design of the mutants was peak. Mutants like Harold, or just the ghouls in general, were so detailed and horribly decayed, I always saw them as a sort of physical representation of the hideousness of this new world. As such, one of my favourite moments in Fallout 3 was reaching Moriarty's saloon in Megaton, walking in and saying hi to brother. This combined with the way they spoke,
I hope you don't mind the smell,
was just so interesting. So being a ghoul means you might live for hundreds of years, but it is a big trade-off. Wait, where's my finger gone? There it is! Come back here! Gotcha! When Fallout 4 came out though, ghouls suddenly just looked like human beings with really dry skin. You can read online that the show decided to go closer to Fallout 4's less intense design so that it wouldn't hide Walter Goggins' acting too much. But really, given how good he looked as the decayed character Lawrence in Maze Runner, I think it would have been fine. Anyway, unsurprisingly, the scene in question ends with the ghoul killing these 3 guys and leaving the gravesite, also in search of Dr. Wilzig. It is implied here too that the ghoul is only going after Dr. Wilzig's bounty because he's actually after Moldaver, who is the lady who issued the bounty. And that leads us to
Part 2. Catch the Wilzig, catch the Wilzig, catch the Wilzig, catch the Wilzig! When we rejoin Maximus, he's out looking for Dr. Wilzig with his new knight, Titus. Titus eventually gets bored, so they land the vertibird, and soon after this, Titus sends Maximus off on his own into a spooky cave to see if Dr. Wilzig is in there. While in here, Maximus avoids danger, but Titus gets attacked by a Yaoguai. And overall, this fight is okay. It's great getting to see the power armor in motion, but in the show, this fight feels very static. See, there's this moment where all of the fighting stops completely. The bear turns to look away from Titus, turns to look back at him. Titus turns and looks away, eventually looks back, and then runs off. And I feel like quite a few of the action scenes in this show are a little bit static like this as well. Like the scene where the ghoul and Lucy are fighting a Gulper on this platform. This Gulper attacks Lucy for a full minute in this one spot, so the scene again overall feels very rigid. Lucy also gets bitten so many times, I'm surprised she still has a foot. Oh. Hello. Save that for later. Anyway, Maximus kills the Yao, and as he very slowly tries to get Titus a stim pack to heal him, Titus starts to threaten him. And here Maximus has had enough. He puts down the stim pack and watches as Titus slips away. And off Maximus goes in Titus's armor to find Dr. Wilzig. Now, some people have an issue with this scene because it makes Maximus seem like a bad person, but I don't really see why this is an issue. The thing is, Maximus does do some awful things, but he works as a character because he doesn't stay this way. He goes on a journey and changes and eventually deeply regrets all the things he's done. And sure, my fingers may be falling out, but at least the best part of me is still intact. I think this scene is great for a few reasons. First off, here and in a previous scene, Maximus gets power by doing literally nothing. And this is a theme of his that the show builds on, as we will see. As well as this, I think this scene foreshadows that maybe he didn't put a razor in his friend's boot after all, as he's simply just not brave enough yet to actually take what he wants. Meanwhile, Lucy makes it to a nearby town called Philly, and while here, she bumps into Dr. Wilzig. The ghoul then turns up and blows up his foot. What? No, he blows up Dr. Wilzig's foot, not his own. There we go. Oh no, this isn't right. The ghoul then pretty much destroys the entire town in a huge shootout. And this scene is just as well produced as the other action scenes we saw in Vault 33. The close-up shots of the bullets the ghoul uses are an especially great touch. It's a small detail, but it makes this sequence a lot more memorable. Maximus then turns up and delays the ghoul for long enough so that Lucy and the Doctor can get away. But in the process, the ghoul damages Maximus's power armor, and he flies off totally out of control. Trust me, this didn't look any better in the show. So now we know a bit more about our characters and what's going on in the story, let's talk a little bit about each character's individual journey. Oh my god. Starting out, it feels like this show is going to mostly focus on Lucy's character changing. After all, the very first thing that happens when she leaves her vault is she meets Dr. Wilzig, who tells her that she will need to adapt. But will she still want the same things when she's become a different animal altogether? And this is a reference to the plot of Fallout 1. See, in that game, at the very end, the character you play as isn't allowed back into their vault, even though after leaving, they saved literally the entire world. This is because our overseer thinks our new knowledge of the outside world would ruin the delicate balance of vault life.
I'm sorry. You're a hero, and you have to leave.
Fortunately though, our character takes this news very well. It's a big theme in Fallout 1, and we do see it in this show too. But I would argue that Lucy, while a very good character, has the least interesting growth of all the three major characters. Everyone's gonna fucking kill me for this. The first thing she does is remove Dr. Wilzig's head with a ripper. This is because the head is what Moldava actually wants, as it has some kind of blue tech thingy inside it. She then goes on some adventures where lots of really horrible things happen to her. She's turned into live bait, she watches the ghoul shoot and eat his friend, and she has to drink radioactive animal pee to stay alive. But it isn't until the super duper mart in episode 4 where we see this stuff start to change Lucy's behavior. See, during the Gulper fight I mentioned earlier, Lucy breaks the vials that the ghoul needs to inhale to stop him from losing his mind and going feral. So he trades her in at a nearby super duper mart for more vials. Here she meets a Mr. Handy voiced by Matt Berry, and he is so perfectly cast I had to put his voice in Fallout 4.
You and he were buddies, weren't you?
Father! Right before this scene too, the ghoul cut off Lucy's finger, so the Mr. Handy attaches a new one onto her. Oh, and I tell you, I know how that feels. Wait, where's my other finger gone? There it is! Oh no, it's made it under a box!
But the Mr. Handy then tries to cut out her organ. Fortunately though, Lucy manages to electrify him, inflicting some structural damage, and this causes the Mr. Handy to become docile. Lucy then fills his non-lethal syringe weapon with poisonous Abraxo drain cleaner, and she uses this makeshift weapon to negotiate both her freedom and the freedom of the other prisoners. One of the prisoners, however, a lovely lady named Martha, turns feral and Lucy is forced to kill her.
And throughout this scene, we see Lucy act pretty differently to how we know her. For one, it's the first time that she chooses to use a deadly weapon, rather than her non-lethal syringer. As well as this, of course, it's the first time that she's had to kill someone.
And so Lucy stumbles out of the super duper mark covered in blood, her vault suit half removed as a powerful metaphor that she has started to leave her vault life behind and is embracing a new one of the wasteland. Except, you know, in the next main scene where she's wearing it again. Wait a second! See, in the games, you start off in the vault suit and slowly get further and further away from it as you spend more time in the wastes.
Nice.
But here I felt like she made her first major step away from being a vault dweller and then went back again. I mean, in Breaking Bad, after Walt shaved his hair off, he didn't just grow it back in the next scene.
I am the one who grows hair.
I know, of course, that the armor Lucy took from the Super Duper Mart is supposed to symbolize these new changes in her, so it's fine. I just felt like this look was a bit more impactful, given the absolute nightmare she's been through. Lucy then teams up with Maximus, and they go off together searching for the head, which is currently with the character Thaddeus.
I haven't mentioned Thaddeus much yet, but he's basically a Brotherhood squire that was sent out to help Maximus. But when Thaddeus found out that Maximus let Titus die, he escaped from Maximus with the head.
But before he got away, Maximus crushed his foot. More on that later. While out looking for Thaddeus, Maximus and Lucy then bump into another couple across from them on a bridge. Lucy eventually convinces everyone to hold up their arms as an act of non-hostility as they cross each other, and this scene is so good. Feeling just like another random encounter you'd get in one of the games. Lucy's plan doesn't work out, however, as the couple still try to kill them, but Maximus gets them first.
And this is it for Lucy. She finally learns from the 3 separate times where kindness and understanding has almost got her killed, that using kindness and understanding is probably gonna get her killed.
So when she and Maximus are later captured and held prisoner by the very sketchy dwellers of Vault 4, she immediately uses kindness and understanding on everyone she meets.
Also, since we're at Vault 4, I better discuss it briefly. It's terrible.
Part 4, Maximus.
Alright. So Lucy and Maximus fall into Vault 4, and while being kept there, they find both original Vault dwellers and people from the surface living there together.
However, the show implies that there's more to it than this. For example, while being kept under medical observation, Lucy nonchalantly asks Maximus, "Wanna have sex?" You know, while horribly injured and in full view of Vault 4. And so this appears to be easily the worst written scene in the show. Fortunately, the camera pans up and reveals that Lucy and Maximus are actually now test subjects.
Whew, and I was getting worried. Clearly though, Lucy and Maximus must be inhaling some kind of weird hormones or something. Speaking of, this gas is getting really thick.
Shortly after this, we learn that a lot of the dwellers here are mutants, and this causes Lucy to get suspicious of Vault 4 and investigate its secret areas. While doing this, she finds signs that the dwellers of the vault are being experimented on, but she gets caught and put on trial. While being sentenced, the true secret of the vault is revealed, which is that originally Vault 4 was used to perform experiments on humans. But one day, the test subjects broke free and are now running the vault in peace. Wait, what? What was that sign and all that awkward dialogue about then? You're telling me after all this time that Vault 4's great mystery reveal is that this episode was in fact just really badly written? The CGI effect for the Overseer's eye was also just awful. Awful. Awful!
But before we move on, things are taking a little bit of a turn. But hey, I've still got my hair. We rejoin Maximus after his fight with the ghoul, and he's trying to fix his power armor. He leaves it unattended because he has an intelligence of -12 and returns to find scavengers trying to take it. But now, for the first time in the show, Maximus chooses to be brave in order to take power armor for himself. I can't show you the actual fight in motion without getting sued, of course, but I think with the power of Fallout 4 and my excellent modding skills, I can give you a near perfect recreation. For real though, Maximus even uses a toilet seat in this fight, showing us that he's letting go of the cowardice he had in his previous fight that also involved a toilet and growing as a character. Symbolism! I had this already lying around. Maximus's time in the wasteland is all about changing how he views bravery and power. And the time he spends with Lucy has the biggest impact on these things. While in Vault 4, for example, Maximus steals their fusion core to power his armor. But as he and Lucy leave the vault, she convinces him to return it, as the dwellers will die without it. And here, Maximus finally learns to do something brave, even when it doesn't directly benefit him. And he's giving away the one thing that truly matters to him: power. Then later on in the show, he chooses to give Lucy the head so that she can save her dad, even though he will likely be killed by the Brotherhood for returning without it. Not only are these choices Maximus makes exactly the kind of difficult moral decisions we have to make in the games, these actions are likely the first time in his life that Maximus has actually lived up to the heroic standards he views the Brotherhood of having. Yet, by giving away power like this, he is acting nothing like them. So when Maximus returns to the Brotherhood without the head, they understandably get ready to execute him. Hey, it's like in Fallout 1. However, before this happens, Dane admits they injured their own foot to avoid duty, so the Elder Cleric lets Maximus live. And Maximus not doing the foot thing felt a little bit too much like they were just trying to redeem him for no reason. But I think now it makes sense. Back then, Maximus was too much of a coward to do anything really. What I don't understand is everything else. Maximus didn't do the foot thing, so you're gonna let him live. I thought that you liked that he did the foot thing. You gave him a promotion when you thought you'd done it. Now you learn he didn't do it, so you're letting him go, even though this time he let Titus die and then betrayed the entire Brotherhood, and then you give him another promotion! So that then is how Maximus's time in the wasteland changes him. But all this talk of gross feet makes me think now is a good time to talk about what happened to Thaddeus and his foot. Last we saw Thaddeus, he of course had a crushed foot from the fight with Maximus. And when we catch up with him again, we see if he doesn't get his foot healed soon, he is going to die. Fortunately though, he bumps into a doctor who offers to heal it. And I've talked about how this show has the same sort of tone as the Fallout games, but this scene with the doctor plays out exactly like Thaddeus has the Wild Wasteland perk from New Vegas. For those who don't know, if you have this perk in Fallout New Vegas, it means you will encounter things the developers thought were too ridiculous to include in the main game, like alien spaceships, dogs playing poker, and quest givers taking the form of mysterious cats.
The NCR needs your help, human.
So the doctor gives Thaddeus an inhaler filled with what he says is foot healing serum. But he also reveals that this serum can cure any and all illnesses, including his mangled foot. And, well, it does. But this vial looks a lot like the vials we see the ghoul inhaling to stop him from going feral. And later on, Thaddeus is shot through the neck with an arrow. But he survives somehow. And this leads to Maximus assuming he is turned into, or is turning into, a ghoul. But like every word out of Maximus's dumb mouth, I think he's probably got this wrong. The thing is, there are many weird and horrible substances out in the wasteland that can give rise to eternal life, or to eternal suffering. The best example of this is in Fallout 1, when you discover the West Tech research facility underground. While here you can find several logs that reveal this company invented many of Fallout's most iconic objects. They developed the T-51 power armor, laser weaponry, and one of its employees, Roger Maxson, even founded the Brotherhood of Steel. Most notably though, West Tech developed the Forced Evolutionary Virus, known as FEV. This virus has gone through a lot of alterations in the series, but generally anyone infected by it is forced to evolve into a physically far improved version of themselves. Which in Fallout usually seems to mean a giant muscular green super mutant. FEV's mutagenic properties has produced for me some of the most interesting characters in the series. The Master, a genetic biohazard made up of a conglomerate of several people and machinery, Harold, a living tree man and religious deity, and Marcus, who I'll admit is my favourite simply because he's voiced by Michael Dorn.
Smart, charismatic, A hell of a mean streak.
FEV also speeds up the cell regeneration of its hosts, meaning injuries will heal faster. And what's great for us viewers and not Thaddeus is FEV mutations become much more unpredictable if 1, you have been exposed to only a small amount of FEV, this is a small amount of FEV, and 2, if your DNA has been damaged in any way, say by being exposed to radiation your entire life by living outside after a nuclear holocaust has taken place. So I think this setup could lead to literally any number of things happening to Thaddeus in Season 2. Overall then, I think you can now see how I'm really into this show. It has it all for me. Character flaws, interesting themes, 3 ad breaks per episode, even though this is a monthly subscription I pay for.
To the town of our Freya rode a stranger one fine day.
So the ghoul is a bad man. He shoots loads of people, uses Lucy as live bait, and makes her drink dirty groundwater. And this has led to him receiving a lot of hate online. I wish I was there to tell him his daughter would probably think he was a fucking monster.
But is the ghoul actually a real person?
See, we learn all about what the ghoul used to be like by watching flashbacks to him as Cooper Howard before the Great War. We see that he was a movie star, a soldier for the US Army, his wife worked for Vault-Tec, he helped promote Vault-Tec, and he even did the thumbs up, the big sellout.
Speaking of, Jumptec's Wasteland Essentials box is out now, featuring a cap stash, a survival guide, and our new patented foot healing serum. Not only does it heal feet, but everything else. Side effects include Jumptec, they probably won't kill you.
Anyway, one episode early on, we find him acting out a scene for a movie where he needs to shoot an unarmed man. He is against doing this because his character is supposed to be a good guy. But one of the writers explains that this new direction is part of the new America, where even a good man can be driven too far.
And I think this scene is all about letting us know that the ghoul is actually a character that Cooper is playing to help him survive the wasteland, and the real him is actually still in there.
A scene that sort of backs this up for me is the one that happens after Lucy escapes from the super duper mart. See, after handing Lucy to the organ harvesters, the ghoul collapses to the floor, clearly in need of his anti-feral medication. And even though the ghoul may have treated Lucy pretty badly, she still gives him the drugs he needs to stop him from going feral. And as he lies on the floor, his face suddenly softens to a smile. I feel this smile comes from Lucy reminding Cooper what it's like to be the good guy, even for just a second.
I also really like to see the personality traits of different characters rubbing off on each other. Like the ghoul and Maximus are becoming more like Lucy, while Lucy becomes more like a wastelander.
But it doesn't stop there. After this, the ghoul goes into the super duper mart, reenacts the supermarket scene from 28 Days Later, but with drugs.
Things that bother you never bother me. I'm so happy and fine.
And then watches a tape of the movie we saw him acting in earlier. From this, we see his character did eventually change and become a bad guy. I think watching this movie reminds the ghoul of the bad character he is supposed to be playing. This, combined with Lucy reminding him of the kind person he used to be, makes the ghoul push himself way back again on the goodness scale. Further. Too far. And we do see this happen. Shortly after the ghoul leaves the super duper mart, he breaks into this family's house to interrogate them for Moldaver's location, brags about killing this guy's son, threatens them both for the whole scene, and then shoots his other son.
And understandably, this makes people say that the ghoul is probably a little bit too evil, but I really think this scene is all about showing us the internal conflict he has going on inside himself.
And that's the ghoul's character as it stands covered. Speaking of ghouls, though.
So, here we are. We've made it to the series finale, and you've got to ask yourself, after watching it, does this show really make any sense at all?
The last episode starts with us watching Cooper, who is now suspicious of Vault-Tec, listen in on his wife while she's at a big Vault-Tec meeting, after he bugged her Pip-Boy with a listening device. In this meeting, Vault-Tec reveal that they're actually planning the destruction of the entire world in order to wipe out all competitors and increase long-term profits. And the first step of their plan is to reveal this to all of their major competitors so that they can be ready for it. This is like KFC nuking every other major business on Earth except Popeyes.
And at first I thought a corporation destroying the entire world for profit was a pretty unbelievable plot point. But then I remembered, you know.
So So I'm actually okay with this plot point now. What I don't understand is how all of the characters continue to just be in the same place all of the time. First, Cooper, while listening into Vault Tech, gets interrupted by Cliff Vandercave from the Flintstones. I mean, Lucy's dad from the Fallout TV show. Then, when we cut forward again to the future, we see Lucy brings the head to Moldaver and her dad, Hank. The entire Brotherhood then immediately turn up with Maximus, and then the ghoul is just there too somehow. What are all these people quantum linked? They're gonna go dead space on us and all converge into a single being? We find out now too that the head actually contains the recipe for cold fusion. Hey, it looks like Fallout 1, which can provide limitless power to anyone who has it. So Moldaver's full town of people and the entire Brotherhood fight over this power. However, when this fierce battle consisting of literally hundreds of people ends, the only survivors are Lucy and her dad, Maximus and the ghoul.
Sorry, let me just make sure I read that right. That's what it says.
Right before the fight, Lucy finds out that her dad was actually the person who destroyed Shady Sands, likely using a Vault Tech brand bomb. He did this partly because the huge city of Shady Sands was too big of a threat to Vault Tech's plan of resettling the world. We also learn here that Lucy's mum realized that Hank and Vault Tech were hiding things, so she left Vault 31 to live in Shady Sands, and this is probably the other reason Hank blew it up. However, Lucy's mum somewhat survived as a ghoul. After all the fighting then, the ghoul demands to know where his wife and daughter are, because if Vault Tech executives like Hank MacLean are still alive, it's likely the ghoul's family will be too. However, he doesn't get any answers here.
Lucy's dad escapes in some power armor and eventually ends up in my favorite place in the world, New Vegas. And I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
And Lucy and the ghoul leave to go after him. Finally then, we have Maximus's ending, and, well, after the big fight, Maximus gets knocked unconscious, a second wave of the Brotherhood turns up, he wakes up just as they arrive, they see Moldaver dead next to him, assume that he killed her and secured cold fusion for the Brotherhood, and they make him a knight!
Sorry, let me just make sure I read that right. That's what it says.
Maximus really lucked out when he took the idiot Savant perk, right? The thing is, while this ending is a bit insane, I think it does work because it matches the silly and fun tone the show has set up. It also works because each character's ending here fits the backstories that they've had throughout the show, while leaving them open for more growth in Season 2, Series 2. Lucy has gone through a trauma so dramatic she has likely been changed by this world for good. This is symbolized by her killing her ghoul mother before she leaves with the ghoul, showing she's letting go of her past self. Maximus's arc over the course of the show was him learning to let go of his lust for power. Yet now he's a very high-ranking member of the Brotherhood. And the ghoul spent a lot of the series fighting to maintain his evil identity. But now he's seemingly ready to be Cooper Howard again, since he's searching for his family. But could anyone love such a hideous creature?
Well, I don't know, I still think I'm pretty hot. Confidence is a preference for the habitual voyeur of what is known. So I feel like I didn't talk a lot about what happened in Lucy's vault after she left. So let's, while I search this place for a cure.
If you don't include Vault 4, Vault 33 is my least favourite of the main plot points the show runs along. And while it is still very good, I just found it a bit oddly written at times, with a lot of my issues somehow relating to the Vault dweller, Steph.
Women.
No, it's not that. It's just I hate characters with one eye.
See, a big part of the story is that the raiders that attacked Lucy's vault are now prisoners there, and the dwellers of Vault 33 need to decide what to do with them. Lucy's brother Norm, the walking personification of the small frame perk, suggests killing the raiders, but this is turned down. Steph, though, implies that Norm needs to do something about it, which makes sense as one of the raiders killed her husband.
But it also implies to me that Steph is maybe going to become an ally to Norm, or that Norm's going to get involved in the new upcoming election for Overseer. But none of this really happens. Oh wait, what's this?
Radaway?
Well, it's a bit late for that, isn't it?
The raiders are barely seen again until near the end of the series, where they're all found dead, and the election plays out just like a really normal election. Saying that, wouldn't that be nice? However, all the remaining stuff that happens is generally great. I absolutely love the scenes where Norm and Chet are searching through Vault 32 and trying to work out what is going on in Vault 31. See, exploring the vaults in Fallout 3 and New Vegas is to date probably my favourite thing I've done in the entire series. What the fuck? The creepy soundtracks, mysterious dead bodies, and all the computer logs left behind all came together to create such an immersive atmosphere, while still giving us an overarching story to piece together. Simply put, the show takes all of this and adapts it into TV perfectly. While exploring then, Chet and Norm see that everyone in Vault 32 killed each other long before the raiders arrived, all because they found out the horrible secret of Vault 31. And it's not until the very last episode that Norm makes it into Vault 31 and we learn the horrible truth. Norm discovers that Vault-Tec actually cryogenically froze and then stored many of its original employees here. This was all so that Vault-Tec could survive the world ending and be ready to return to the surface as the dominant corporate force in this new world, with Vault 32 and 33 acting as nothing more than a breeding pool. Good grief! And all of that combined with the reveal that Vault-Tec planned the end of the world, it all adds up to a really dramatic, if what slightly unbelievable ending. Wait a second, what's this? Jump-Tec. Foot healing serum. I mean, if it heals feet, it might heal all of me? Ooh, banana flavor! Oh hey, it did it, I'm back to normal, and with no side effects. Oh. Oh, well, I'm sure I'll find a use for that. See you later. Done. So we really went all out for this video and hired as many independent artists as we could find. For this video alone, we hired 2 separate animators, 2 SFX makeup artists from Monster FX that worked for 2 full 12-hour days. We had artists, prop designers, 3D printers, a special effects editor, set designers, camera people, and a music producer making all of the songs. I really loved making this video and want to continue making more crazy long-form stuff like this. And so, if you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, I've had this poster made of me turning into a ghoul. It's so good. So anyone who wants to support the channel by joining my Patreon or YouTube member at the $10 tier within the next 30 days will get this poster as an extra reward. You'll also get other stuff like this extra video that I've made that I'm posting tomorrow that is made up of almost 10 minutes of unused clips and sketches. But if you want to support the channel, join today at any tier. All the links and explanations of everything I've talked about is below. Finally, if you like the posters and you just want to buy them outright, they're available now at pixelempire.com. Linked below, you can just get them. And you can also get the merch boxes there too if you want to support the channel that way. Thank you. Without my patrons, YouTube members, and the merch I've been selling, this video wouldn't have been possible. I would have just run out of funds. Bye!